Hello, YouTube subscribers. Today or tonight, whenever you're watching this, I am doing another Disney movie review on Descendants 3. Disney Descendants 3. I know this video is a little late. I am actually past. Uh, okay, yesterday, I'm recording this video review on Friday, basically when the fourth movie comes out. I am very angry with myself because I meant to do this video review yesterday, but I got a little sidetracked on doing other things yesterday, and I basically, it's like, what, 1:46 in the freaking morning I'm recording this. So basically later on today, I'm basically gonna do the review for Descendants 4, The Rise of Red. But I still wanted to get this one out, this review for Descendants 3 out, because it wouldn't be a complete video review of the trilogy, of the first trilogy that we gotten. So let's see if I can get through this. Okay. Basically, after Descendants 1, it was like a year later, they announced Descendants 2. And then after Descendants 2, they announced that they a Descendants 3, but while they announced Descendants 3, because Disney and the whole cast knew Descendants 3 was going to be the last movie. The last, basically, the ending to the trilogy that we basically have of the original 4 VKs plus the other VKs we saw from Descendants 2 and to this one. And while Disney knew Descendants 3 was going to be the last Descendants, they announced that they had like between, I want to say between the first and the second Descendants movie, they announced that they were going to do another trilogy. Well, basically, yeah, they knew they wanted this to be a trilogy, which it was called Zombies, and it was basically a repeat between basically a copycat of Descendants, but with monsters, because once Descendants, between Descendants 1, I want to say between Descendants 1 and 2, they released the first Zombies movie, which I watched. That was not a fan of it. I was shocked I sit through the whole first movie. It was just, I could not get into it. Most of the music in it was good. I will give it that. The story plot was boring as hell. It was terrible. I just got more connected to Descendants, and when I was trying to watch it, I saw it more of a copycat and Descendant, and I saw that Descendants did it better. Like they totally, I looked at Zombies like Disney totally remade Descendants, but in monster form, for and basically Disney Twilight way, and, and totally acted like it was not a copycat, a remake to Descendants. And but anyway, and then after Descendants 2, they did this Zombies 2, and then after Descendants 3, they did Zombie 3, and through this past year, well, last year, all through last year, when they announced Descendants 4, The Rise of Red, it didn't even take Disney a few months later. I think it was like the second month they announced a Zombies 4, which, but Descendants 3, knowing it at the time, which, okay, still at this time, it's actually the final chapter, the ending chapter to the original four VKs. Sorry, scratchy throat. And Descendants 3 is the last chapter, the final ending to the original 4 VKs, plus the other VKs that we saw through this journey, like Tremaine's daughter, which is also the granddaughter of the evil stepmother, Harry Hook, Gil, Harry Hook, the son of Captain Hook, Gil, the son of Gunston. Even though Uma is going to make a appearance in Descendants 4, The Rise of Red, I still want to say, to a certain point, when her story began in Descendants 2, it somewhat had a closing chapter in Descendants 3, and whatever this new trilogy will be, it'll be more of another half of a like to a certain point where her story began in Descendants 2, it also ended in Descendants 3, and then whatever the rest of her character is going to, whatever Uma's next journey is going to open up, it's going to be in this new trilogy of Descendants. I feel like this is the new Descendants is going to lead into a trilogy. So, but it was Descendants 3 was really hard for me to get through, and to this day it actually still is, because it was during a time that basically through the year that Avengers Endgame came out. After that, I wasn't doing very good. I was in a coping state after that movie, Avengers Endgame, and then I was going through something, and then since I basically went through the same thing, growing up watching the MCU, watching it build, but while I was going through high school, enjoying it while I went through high school, basically middle school, grade school, middle school, and high school, basically. Um, Once I got to high school, it was like my high school years. That's when Descendants started, and I basically grew up watching Descendants. It was like my childhood movies, and it was part of my childhood that Descendants was just like the MCU, but the MCU basically started a lot earlier in my childhood than Descendants did. But anyway, it still hold the same meaning. So the same year that after I watched Avengers Endgame and trying to go through that goodbye, coming around Descendants 3, knowing that was going to be a goodbye. Sorry. made it made it a lot harder to watch because saying goodbye to one thing and then saying goodbye to another was difficult. I did not want to do this. Which before the movie got released led to another thing that was upsetting, that basically the actor that played Carlos, Cameron Boyce, passed away in his sleep. And it was upsetting because the actor was a very good actor. I loved him as an actor. He was sure I didn't know him like the cast and crew from Descendants did, but when I watched some episodes of Jesse or when I watched the grown up movies, I loved him in that. He was just, and knowing he was such of a good person in real life, it was really, and being a fan of his to a certain point, like loving him in the Descendants movies, loving how he is in Jesse or the other shows he did for Disney, and liking how he was in Grown Ups, it really hurt not just fans but the people he worked around with, because a lot of people said he was the highlight of, but which made the movie even harder to watch because the moment of hearing that was upsetting, and so it in a way made the movie even sadder. Not even in a way, definitely did. Oh. So basically getting that out of the way, all of that out of the way, basically, instead of them recapping what they did in the first two movies is basically having the main villain going after Fairy Godmother's wand, because in the very first movie it was basically the four original VKs trying to get the wand for Maleficent, because Maleficent thought and then in the second one it was Uma that was trying to get the wand. So in this one it was basically, it was a very good learning lesson that basically that you learn and, and teenagers could learn that basically and it's including it's a good arc for the character, even though she wasn't in the second Descendants, but more in the first one and just the first and third one. Audrey, the daughter of Sleeping Beauty, she basically, how in the first movie she got Ben taken away from her because Mel first put a spell on her. Put a spell on Ben to date him, and then it basically actually ended up in a real relationship. But Audrey didn't let go of the pain, the anger, so basically she took Maleficent's scepter and a crown, and basically became the main villain of like their generation of evil queen, like a wicked witch evil queen, and the four VKs, after bringing in counting just right, yeah, after bringing in four new VKs, basically the daughter of Dr. Facilere, yeah, I can't even say the name right. The basically after one of the four VKs that they bring over before all the chaos starts is the daughter of the villain from Princess and the Frog, the twins of Captain Hook's partner in crime in Peter Pan, Smee's twin boys, and Dizzy, the daughter of Tremaine and the granddaughter of evil stepmother, which we got introduced to Dizzy in Descendants 2. We just got reintroduced to her in Descendants 3. And which we do see more VKs, like that no, it's not really more new VKs that we get to meet, but we do get to meet like some of the, like, we get to see the villain from Princess and the Frog in Descendants 3. We get to see the wicked evil stepmother, but as a grandmother. We get to see Hades, which turns out to be Mel's father, blood related father. So, which to stop Audrey, Mel needed something from Hades. So, which they decided to sneak on the Isle and get out from Hades, which Hades was proudly to be okay to give it to Mel, because as a loving father he tries to be, even though he tries to be like a cold-hearted jackass. But he does try more to be a loving father. Um, it's he probably gives her the stone, which it's called the Ember. It apparently it's more powerful than Maleficent's scepter. So, which then after Mel gets the Ember, she was forced to team up with Uma, Harry, and Gil, and through that journey, part of the movie, they learn how to get Uma and Mel learn how to get along, learn how to become friends, and learn how to be okay to work together, to be friends again, to apologize to each other of what happened in the past, and basically apologizing for not listening to each other in the first place. Also, after Maleficent's scepter and after Audrey steals Maleficent's scepter and the crown, Mel is forced to make the decision that you basically have to also see is, to a certain point, a good decision, but also a bad one. And that's to no longer, since basically Hades attacked Mel just cause, I truly believe he attacked her, not like meaningly, but like to see what she would do, to see if, because he uses the Ember to like attack her, but I truly believe that he did it to just see what she would do. But so after that, and after Audrey stealing the crown and scepter, Mel makes the brave decision to end the program and the whole idea of kids getting off the Isle of the Lost, having a new life, but also get to see their parents when they want to. All that gone because everything has gone to hell lately, and it's, as much as I painfully did not want to agree to a certain point, I did, because I saw where she was going with it, and then which from there, that's where she kind of had to lie to Uma, because Uma, when she was because she when Harry went to basically they basically, Harry and Gil got out of the barrier when Mel, Evie, Jay, and Carlos was basically walking out of the aisle with the Ember. And then once they started getting into a fight, Harry knocked the Ember out of Mel's hand. Uma caught it, and which Hades let Mel know that basically if the stone ever gets wet, it loses its power and it's game over. Um, and so that's and Uma had it and kept it to hold Mel's word uh, towards her, um, uh, because she would use the ember against Mel. So basically, Mel had to promise that basically once all this hell is over, all the kids would be free from the Isle. Even though what she made earlier, and and which it's and then get through the whole movie of them learning how to get along with each other, how to be friends, how to apologize to each other, and then at the very end, once they stopped um Audrey, which also the music in this is good. I like the music in this one as well. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like some some of the songs in the first movie. The second one got even better, and this one just got better and better. Um, but once they stopped Audrey, um, um, which before they stopped Audrey, that's when the whole thing came out of Mel was lying to her friends and to Uma and her gang, uh, and it just blew up in Mel's face. One of the newest VKs, the villain from Princess and the Frog's daughter, took the ember, threw it in water because she was mad that she couldn't be able to go home and see her dad, which that I understood. Family, not all villains hated their kids, even if they did act like they did, they really didn't. Um, uh, eh, um, so, but, Uma magic Uma's necklace magically helped the ember to get its power back, where Mel was able to use it overall against Audrey, and when Mel went to use it, it basically almost killed her, and basically more and more they waited, the more and more she got closer to death. But the only reason why it didn't fully work the way Mel wanted it to, because she was part Hades, which, okay, that part I found a bit bullshit, because it most Olympus history between demigods is that basically mixed breeds are more stronger than the actual full-blooded breed, and Mel was a half-blood, and knowing that to the actual lore, it should have been the opposite, but hey, they tricked it a little bit where, yeah, she wasn't full-blooded, so it didn't fully work like she wanted it to. So the only one that could save her was Hades. They brought Hades over, not liking the idea, but to save one of their own, which it was actually funny. Hades throughout throughout the sentence that basically, when did heroes care about villains? Oh wait, it's one of your own. So when it's if it's one of your own, it's just a slap on the hand. Never do it again. But if it's one of us, um, lock him up and throw away the key. That I laughed and totally agreed with him that basically it was wrong. It was he had a point, and and but he still brought Audrey back to life, and they took him back to the Isle of the Lost, back to the prison that basically, as me and my sister thought at the time, all the villains was, um, but at the end, at the very end, after basically before the guards was taking Hades back, and Mel was able to talk to him for a little bit. Hades give Mel the ember to her because he knew that basically she needed it more than he did, um, and he loved his daughter, so he thought nothing better than to um um and then closer more to the ending, that basically we get that Mel confessed that basically, yes, she is the daughter of not just Maleficent, but Hades himself. And without Hades, Audrey would have been dead. Without the pirates, without Uma and Harry and Gil, that basically Ordon would still be the way Audrey had it, which Audrey had half of the kingdom asleep, and then the other half of the kingdom into stone. Which there was a certain point when after the ember got destroyed by throwing it in water, thanks to the daughter of the villain from Princess and the Frog, Audrey turned Ben, Jay, Carlos, and Evie and Carlos's dog into stone. And first time watching it, and still to this day of watching it, it gets me every time because it always reminds me of basically the loss of Cameron Boyce, and basically the reminder of how I was at the time first watching Descendants 3, of by going from the feeling of the emotions from Avengers Endgame to knowing about Cameron Boyce's passing, to basically of this being the final chapter of the original 4 VKs plus the VKs we saw in Descendants 2 and in this one. So it hit me hard because I did not know typically how to take it, to deal with it. And then the ending, and going back to the ending, where basically, yes, if it wasn't for her, half of the kingdom would still, if it wasn't for Uma, Harry, and Gil, half of the kingdom would still be asleep and be stone, like statue stone. So basically evil can basically come from the good side, and good can come from the bad side. It doesn't matter what side you are on, Eye of the Lost or Oradon, because good and bad can basically come from anyone, from either of us, from either side, and that's it, it was I liked how they were closing it. I liked how they were leading into closing the book of these characters, and basically I liked how they allowed, because Cameron Boyce said the way he would like to see one of the Descendants movies end is the barrier to be broken, the barrier to be down, the Isle and Ordon to be the bridge between Isle and Ordon to be connected and no longer have to be apart from each other. Type happy ending, and that's exactly what they did for Descendants 3, is basically fulfilled that wish from Cameron Boyce by adding that to be the ending of Descendants 3, where there's no longer divided islands, there's no longer a barrier, there's no longer that basically everyone is welcome. If you want to stay over in the Isle because you still feel like you don't deserve forgiveness, then it'll take more time, but you are welcome, basically. And um and um and uh so and then at the very, 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 very end, you see you see that basically the director and writer of all three Descendants movies, in the first two, you get the line, okay, from the first movie, you get it from Mel, you don't think this is the end of the story, did you? From the second movie, it's Uma, you don't think this is the end of the story, did you? But in this one, it's the director slash scriptwriter sweeping all the uh, confetti, the glitter, the confetti off of the ground, because it was a party about Ben and Mel being engaged. Basically going through the first two as a boyfriend girlfriend, and now in this one they're engaged, because to complete that whole conferment of being king and queen together. So and instead of him saying, do you think this thing on the story, you didn't think this was the end of the story, did you? No, he didn't say that. He basically didn't leave it open. He left it closed. That's why when it came to this upcoming new one, it was so much divided between Descendants fans of, yes, there should be another one. No, there shouldn't be. That at first I was on the side that said no. Now I'm leaning lately I was leaning towards yes, and I am gonna give the movie a chance, obviously, because I'm gonna review it later on today, because today is Friday and I'm not doing this video review on Thursday, sadly. Um, um, and then after this one, there was some fans that wanted to see some of the cast come back to do a little short video movie of Ben and Mel's wedding, because some fans wanted to see Mel and Ben's wedding. And who was there? Even though everybody knew Cameron Boyce passed. And it was hard for the cast and crew to come back without Cameron Boyce. But not to please fans, the cast and crew did come back and did say yes, they love to please their fans. That was one of the reasons, but not the biggest reason. They did the little short movie video, even though it was cartoon and not live action like the first three. And so in that case, some fans could consider it be canon or not because it's cartoon and not live action, stuff like that. But especially since Disney figured if it was going to be a short movie video, then what's the point of spending more extra money for it to be a live action? So, do I consider it canon? No. But did I watch it? Yes. And was it good? Yes. Was it heartwarming? Yes, because the cast and crew did it. Their main reason why they did it was because of Cameron Boyce. That basically, yes, fans were second. They did it for their second reason. That wasn't more their main reason. Was for fans, but their main reason was for Cameron Boyce. And they did mention Carlos, that they didn't confirm that he died in the Descendants universe, but they basically talked about how they missed Carlos, how it was sad he couldn't be there for the wedding, and you could feel their, even though it was cartoon, you could feel and hear the sadness, the deep sadness in their voice about Carlos, Cameron Boyce. And that was basically the only thing I cared about, is how they represented that part, which I knew they would deeply do it well because how much they cared about him. So, and then moving on from that, we got Descendants 4, which we could consider Descendants the royal wedding, which that's what they called it. Canon or not canon, it's pretty much up to you. Me, it goes either other way, depends on the mood I'm in. But drop a comment down below if you liked it. Descendants 3. What was your favorite song? What was your favorite part? What did you like seeing most? Did you like how Hades was in Descendants 3? Did you not like it? I actually liked how they did his hair. I kind of wish they didn't leave it. I wish they kind of left it and not do computer-wise CGI for a flame. I wish they just kept it. Because when he activated the stone, his hair turned to flame. Not his whole entire hair, just like this upper part, which I just feel like they should have left alone and not even computerized CGI flame come from just up here. But that's just me. I didn't mind the CGI in this very much, as I kind of did the other two, now going back over them. But it's still a good trilogy overall. But anyway, drop your comments down below. Anything Descendants, anything Disney, any of your thoughts. Please hit that. Please, if you're a newcomer dropping by randomly by one of my videos, please hit that subscribe button, because I welcome all new and old subscribers with open arms. If you're a original original old subscriber, I appreciate you guys always coming back for each of my videos. I deeply appreciate it. If you guys liked this video, please hit that like button. If you guys didn't like this video, please hit that dislike button. Have a nice day, have a nice night whenever you're watching this, or in this case, morning. Peace.